Hey guys, so for day 13 of Halloween nail designs, I am jumping on the trend of those cute little ghost paintings on nails, but instead of doing it how everyone else is doing and just doing the ghost painting, I am throwing a little twist on top uh, of it. So to start off, I'm just taking a don't from ball pit and painting all of the nails with this. I thought this would be a really nice like base color for the design. Like it was enough to give some color to the nail but not like take away the focus from the little paintings that I'm going to do. I think I ended up doing like 3 coats of this, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. So I have been loving these little ghost paintings. They've been kind of popular for the last few years, I think. Not necessarily on nails, but just like the actual paintings. I've been seeing them a lot in stores when it's Halloween time, and then also on like TikTok, people will thrift paintings from like Goodwill or a thrift store or whatever, and then paint the little ghosts on there, and they're so cute. So I really wanted to do this trend because it's super cute, and like I said, it seems like a lot of people are doing this ghost painting um, this year. So I wanted to hop on that trend because I think it's super cute. Um, After getting the bases done, I did wipe them all off with some alcohol to remove the sticky layer. And then I'm going in with the black from Ball Pit. And on all of the nails, I did an oval on there because this is going to be like the base for the little ghost paintings that I'm going to do. I only show me painting this one oval because you kind of get the point with just this one. You don't need to see me paint an oval on all 5 of the nails. Also, this ended up taking a lot longer than I was expecting, and I figured if I could cut down some time on the video anywhere, it would be here where I'm doing like a repeated task. So I just get those painted on, and then I do cure for a full 60 seconds because I am going to be painting on top of them, and I want to make sure that base color is fully cured. Now I am going in with the white from Ball Pit, and I'm trying to create like a cloudy slash foggy type of look for the background of this ghost painting. So I'm just doing some little dashes across the nail, and then I do come in with black because I did do a little too much of the white. I'm just trying to break that up a little bit so it's not so harsh and not like so much white. Also, if I got any of that polish on the base of the nail, it was no big deal. I could just go in and clean it up with a cleanup brush and some alcohol. Then I also cured that for 60 seconds because again I am going to be painting over it, and I want to make sure that every layer of polish underneath is going to be completely cured. So if I do paint on top of it, I do cure for a full 60 seconds. But if I'm not painting on top of it, then I will only do a quick flash cure. So now I'm just going in with the white again and painting on my little ghost here. And I tried to like feather out the bottom half of the ghost to try and make it a little more like transparent looking. Because this ghost here is going to be in like a field of like tall grass and flowers, and I didn't want it to be like you could see the full ghost through like the grass and flowers. I did kind of want it to be a little more not like how how do I explain this? I wanted you to be able to see the ghost, but not necessarily the bottom of the ghost. But also, I wasn't really sure how high up I was going to make like the grass and flowers, so that's why I kind of just feathered out the bottom so I could easily paint over top of that, and you're not seeing like the full ghost body underneath the flowers and grass and stuff. So then I did cure that for a full 60 seconds, did the little eyes, and I just flash cured the eyes since that was the last layer on that part. And now I'm taking all these colors. I forget which ones I used. I know I used some Madam Glam, I think some Ball Pit. I think that's Pure Nature, and Astro Pie. And then I don't know what other colors, but they did show up there on the screen. Also, I do have a discount code with Madam Glam if you're ever interested in purchasing anything from Madam Glam. It is all down in the description below. But anyhow, I did do a little color mixing to get the different shades of green that I needed for the grass. So I mixed orange into one of those piles of green to get like a, almost like it looks like dead grass, and then white in the other pile to make it a little bit lighter, so that way there was some depth and dimension and some color variation in the little grass here. And I went in with the plain green first, and then I cured that, and then I went in with the like orangey green, cured that, then I went in with the light green, cured that, and then all the orange color that I used and the like cream color I used, those are going to be the flowers, and I just kind of like smushed them on. I didn't really like try to make it look exactly like a flower. I just kind of did some little blobs, and they looked good enough and looked similar to flowers. And then the dark brown that I put out on the palette I used for like the center of the flowers. And for all of these ghosts, I did go on Pinterest and search up ghost paintings and just found some that I liked on there and used those as reference photos for all of these. So for the second nail here, I think this is the one where it's like the ghost playing like hide and seek or like peekaboo behind the trees or whatever. Yeah, that's this one. So I'm just taking that same brown that I used earlier, and I did like the tree trunks, and now I'm just taking the different greens that I have. I might have mixed up some other greens as well. I don't know. And I'm just kind of tapping that on there to create like the leaves. And again, I do like very in like different shades and stuff on here to give more depth and dimensions to the trees to make it look like they're are leaves and like they're color changing to fit with the fall season and everything. Also to like show the difference between the two different trees, you'll see the last thing I do on this leaf part is go in with a dark color to create kind of what looks like a shadow to show that it's two different trees and it doesn't just look like one big blob of leaves up here, because it looks kind of funny before I add like that shadow part. And then I do two little ghosts down, hiding behind the trees. The one ghost does end up getting cut off in the end, and you can't really see him, but he is there. Oh, I did also add some more branches onto the trees because they were looking a little weird without those extra branches. Just trying to add as much detail as possible. And like I said, if I was layering more color on top, I would do a full 60-second cure. And if it was the last layer of color, then I would only flash cure. Also, I am using an 11 millimeter liner brush to do all of my nail art. Usually I use a 9 millimeter brush for this type of art and like at this scale just because it's a little bit easier. But I had just gotten this brush. It's the Art Was Here 11 millimeter liner brush from Nails by Dev. It was a limited edition brush, and I wanted to use it to test it out and see how it was to paint with it, because in the beginning of my channel I pretty much used to always use an 11 millimeter liner brush, so I was like used to using an 11 millimeter all the time, and I now pretty much always use a 9 millimeter for almost everything, so I'm used to using the 9 millimeter now, as opposed to an 11 millimeter. But I just wanted to use it, kind of test it out, see how it is, because sometimes you get a new liner brush and you're like, I don't know if I really like it or not. But I do like this brush. I do really like Nails by Dev's brushes. They're nice and thin, which I really like. It makes it easier to get those really thin lines whenever you're doing intricate and detailed nail art. And they're not like too stiff and they're not too soft either. They're like a nice medium, which I really like. But anyhow, for this nail here, I'm doing a little ghost on a swing. So I did the two like ropes for the swing. I think I just used the cream color for that, and now I'm mixing up some color for the like little bench part, the wood bench part that the ghost is sitting on. Just taking that cream color and that brown color and then painting that on, and then I'll do the little ghost. And for this ghost, the part that goes over the seat of the swing, I did try to keep kind of like how I did on that first one, kind of more transparent to where you can see through it, so you could tell like it's a ghost. Or not that you could tell it's a ghost, but like ghosts they're always pictured as being kind of see-through, and you can see through them. I wanted to give that same effect here with the little swing here, so I just used very little polish. I kind of tried to concentrate more of it up towards the top half of it, and then just kind of like feather it down and blend it down a little bit to make it a little lighter, so you could tell that it was actually sitting on a swing and it didn't look weird, just having these strings or like these lines down next to it. And then just did some more trees the same way I did the other trees. Okay, now I'm mixing up another color here. This is going to be like a mossy dirt kind of color to mimic like a forest floor, because for this one it's going to be a little ghost like standing in the middle of the forest with some pumpkins around him. um so for this, I also wanted to create like little piles of leaves on the ground, like they had just fallen off the trees. And to do this, I did a wet on wet technique. So I left this like mossy dirt color wet, and then I just dabbed on the same way I dabbed on for the leaves on the trees, the different greens and oranges and everything, to create like piles of leaves. Although I focused more on like the orange and the brown and the cream, I think I added just a tiny little bit of the green, because once the leaves fall off the tree, they're dead, and like they are kind of like, orange and brown and stuff. They're less green. Um, so I was trying to get that, and the reason why I did a wet on wet technique instead of curing the base layer and then doing this is because I wanted it to blend together and be one layer instead of being multiple layers, like how on that first nail I did with the different grasses and the flowers and everything. You could kind of tell that it was like different layers because I cured each one separately, and it gave it more depth, and it just created like those separate layers. Whereas for this, like I said, I wanted it to all be one layer, and then went through, did the trees. I think I kept these trees kind of bare. I think I just left them bare. I don't even think I put any leaves on them. Or I might have put a little bit of leaves on them. I don't remember. So did the trees, did the ghost, did the pumpkins. And I did the pumpkins kind of the same way I did the flowers. I just kind of blobbed some of the orange on and called it a day. And I'm really annoyed right now because it took me 3 tries to record that, because for some reason my microphone kept giving out and wasn't recording anymore. And now my throat is like killing me because I've been talking nonstop for so long now. And I like recorded so much of it without even realizing that the mic wasn't recording at all. So that was fun. And then for this last nail here, I went a different route with it, and I didn't do like the naturey theme with it. I just did one single ghost, and he's holding a candle. I thought it would be fine to do something else on this one instead of doing like sticking with that nature theme that I had going on for the rest of the nails, because it's the thumbnail and it's kind of separated from the rest of the nails anyhow. But also, that wasn't my intention to have like a theme going on with all of the nails. That just is kind of what happened. Like, I was really liking the little ghost paintings of them, like, in the field of flowers and in the forest and stuff. I just thought that was super cute. But I also thought this little one was super cute too, holding the little candle. And like I said in the beginning, I wanted to add a little twist onto this set. And that is to make like the paintings disappear. So I'm just taking some base coat and this magic pigment from, I think Cassie Payne is her name. And just mixing that together. You can mix this in with top coat, which if you do get this pigment powder, she has a whole bunch of different pigment powders. She has these ones that are color change, that are like heat activated, and I do have the red one. I got it last year in a mystery box from Nails by Dev. But then there's this one that is black, and it goes like clear to black, and that other one goes red to clear. But then I think she also has some other ones that are like color change, that are like, you know, blue to green or something like that. And like, I don't know. Anyhow, you just mix it up with some clear polish. On the little card you get with them, it says to mix it into top coat, because usually this is your last step whenever you're applying this to a nail set. So that's why it says to mix it in with top coat, so then you don't have to worry about top coating afterwards. But I always end up mixing everything into base coat whenever I do any kind of mixing like this with like pigment powders or glitters or something, just because I have so many of those base coats and I don't use them. So I get use out of them by mixing them in with stuff. So I just mixed in a bunch of that pigment powder to make sure that this black was super pigmented and was going to actually cover everything that I just did. And then I'm just going right over top of everything and covering it all up. And this was so scary to do, because in the back of my mind, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, what if this doesn't work? Like, what if for some reason this batch is defective or something and it doesn't work with the color changing? Or what if I ended up mixing too much of the pigment into the clear? I'm so glad that I am in frame. Anyhow, so I was really nervous painting over this. This is always a scary thing to do, like whenever you're doing something like this. You kind of just always sit there thinking like, oh, what did I just do? Like, did I just ruin this set? Even though, like, you know that it's going to work, but also you don't know that it's going to work. Also, I don't know if it's possible to mix up too much of that pigment into the clear or not. But as you can see, it worked. I did go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds after getting that all applied. And when I took it out of the lamp, you could see that it did kind of go clear a little bit, and you could see through it because of the heat from the lamp. And then I wanted to make the frames be gold chrome, so I took my ball pit anti-chrome top coat, applied that to all of the nails, cured it for 60 seconds, and now I'm just going in with the emo black liner gel and doing my little frames. I kind of tried to do like those really like decorated frames. I always forget the name of like those little frilly, leafy, curly decorations. I don't know. I just fancy vintage frames. That's what I looked up. I didn't put the fancy part, but I put vintage frames in on Pinterest, and it brought up what I was wanting. So I just did that. I outlined the entire oval there, and then I did some little frilly, fancy, curly things around it, and then I cured that for 15 seconds and then applied the gold chrome. I think I went through and I did all of the frames first and then like cured each one individually. Because I do cure whenever I do isolated chrome or just chrome in general, even if I'm doing an entire nail chrome, I do each nail individually because that just works better for me instead of like applying the gel to all of the nails and then curing for however long and then going in and doing the chrome, because by the time I get to the last one, like, it's not sticking to the gel anymore and it gets on my nerves. So I do them all individually. And as you can see here, the anti-matte chrome, oh my gosh, there I go again. I always do. I mentioned that in one of the other videos where I was using this. I always say anti-matte chrome top coat. It's anti-chrome matte top coat. It works so well. The chrome does not stick to the base. And I will forever be using this now whenever I'm doing isolated chrome designs because it works so well. It's way better than doing like the matte top coat and buffing, or even what I was doing, just doing the base layer and then wiping the sticky layer off of that and then doing the isolated chrome. Like, this is the greatest thing ever and I love it. So if you are struggling with isolated chrome designs, I recommend getting this matte top coat, the anti-chrome matte top coat from Ball Pit, because it works so good. So I'm just gonna go ahead, let this play out. I don't think I showed me doing all of the frames. I don't think it mattered anyhow because I'm out of frame. But yeah, just went through, did the painted on the frames, cured for 15 seconds, rubbed the chrome on. Okay, and now I'm taking the matte top coat from Nails by Dev and painting the entire nail with this because I wanted the gold frames to be matte and have more of an antique look to them instead of them being shiny and having like a more modern look to it. I also wanted to make sure that the base of the nails stayed matte. Now I'm going in with my Crazy Top from Jinbei and just applying that onto the like picture part of the design because I wanted it to look like, you know, an actual picture frame where you have the glass and it's shiny and everything, and I wanted everything else to be matte to give that like kind of contrast and look like actual like an actual picture frame. So I applied that and then I went ahead and cured for a full 60 seconds. and this is the finished result. I had just pulled them out of my nail lamp, so they are kind of clear, but you can see those last three there were already starting to darken up again, and by the time I finish showing them all off right here, they all are dark again because the air had kicked on, and the vent is like where my desk is, and the vent is angled directly at the desk, so it was cooling them all off and they were darkening up. But I do really love how these came out. They are so cute. Like I said, I love these little ghost paintings. They're so cute. Whether it's like an actual painting or like the ones that everyone's doing on the nails, they are so cute and I love them. And I love how this came out. I'm super happy that I decided to... Oh, here I am trying to get it to like switch again by rubbing my thumb on it. It kind of works. But I'm super happy that I decided to matte top coat the frames because I just feel like it gives that like vintagey feel to it that these ghost paintings kind of have anyways. It's just super cute, and I don't want to say they're like, the design is simple because there's not a lot going on. It's not like a chaotic design, but like there is a lot to it. It's just like, it's not a simple design to do. It's a simple design to like look at, is I guess what I'm trying to say here. So here is what they look like, all blacked out. And then I did pull out my hair dryer and just like hit that on the nail to get it to clear up and go away. And they were kind of wet because I was like going back and forth between dipping them on, like rubbing an ice cube on them to get them to darken up, and then blow the hair dryer on to get them to clear up again. I had to do that so many times, getting finishing shots for here on YouTube, and then for like reels and TikToks and Instagram and whatever. But this is super fun and I really like them, and I love this like disappearing effect to them. Like I just think that is super fun and super cute. So yeah, I'm super happy with these, and obviously you don't have to make them disappear if you don't have that color changing pigment, or even if you just don't want to make them disappear and you just want the cute little ghost paintings. But yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.